I was slowly reaching for my gun with my right hand, trying to shoot Ryan where he wasn't wearing math textbook armor. You ain't killing the Great Queen and you ain't getting out of here alive. Who says we aren't? I asked, feeling the cold blade of the knife against my throat. Just before I reached the gun, Ryan caught on to what I was doing and swatted my hand away from the holster. I am, he replied. You two have been making my life miserable before this even happened, and now it's my chance to get payback, to sacrifice you to the Great One. Stop speaking like that, Blame said. I can't understand your mumble-jumble BS. Now, I said, drop the knife. In a sudden flash of movement, I elbowed Ryan in the stomach and kicked him against the cave wall, but that guy was fast. Just before Blame could aim and fire, Ryan had gotten up and ran, punching me in the face. He screamed psychopathically and leapt right for my face with his knife positioned in the classic slasher film way. But Blame shot him clean through the back where the math book armor wasn't there. For the last time, Ryan fell on the floor flat through his face and managed one, "Screw you," and he died. Is he actually dead this time? Blame asked. I checked for his pulse and thankfully there wasn't one. We continued down the tunnel to the point where we were at least 100 feet beneath the earth, and we suddenly came into an open room in the cave system, at least twice the size of the gym. We could audibly hear water splashing around, so I assumed there was an underground lake of some kind where the drones were. Before we could really get a look at the area and what was in it, our headlamps turned off, bathing us in the pitch-black darkness. What the heck? I cried out. It was silent for a few minutes. What the heck is this, dog? Blame yelled. Hey, come out and fight, you baby. But then there was a voice. Brian Lockhart, Christopher Roger. The voice was eerie and terrifying, like a demon's voice. A woman's voice, a child's voice, and a man's voice all mixed into one. It all sounded ancient, as if it was alive before the start of time, and it knew our names. How does it feel to have let all those people die? Well, I know it's gonna feel great to blow your face off, Blame yelled. The drone queen or king or whatever you wanted to call it let out a deep laugh and roared. I will enjoy the taste of your blood. You little bugs have been disgraced for too long, and you will pay the price. And then the voice switched to the voice of Marlowe. Christopher, why are you here? This is a fight you can't win. You're gonna die and your guts will get splattered onto the walls. Your body will be feasted on. You can't win. There are things that you will never find out, things that you will never understand, things you will never see. I am one of them. You made a mistake thinking that you could destroy me, the queen and the king. Oh really? I left right back at the thing, but my heart was beating so fast that it would make Usain Bolt look out of shape. Really? You're an incomprehensible eldritch horror, aren't you? It only took a bunch of kids and a principal to figure you and your stuff out. Silence. Nobody will find your corpse. You and Brian will remain here for the rest of eternity, and no one will ever know how you died down here where you will never escape. Oh, is that so? Then show yourself. I distinctly heard the flick of a lighter, followed by a ring of torches all around the cave walls light up, illuminating the dark room. I saw Lauren standing close to the exit, grinning at us as if to say, "You meddling kids are so done now." The drone queen was sitting in a very large underground lake, and rising from the water and stood on a large rock structure which was like some kind of throne. The drone queen was absolutely enormous, at least 20 feet tall and 40 feet long, and he or she was scary looking too. The queen's general body looked roughly the same as the rest of the drones, but with curved spikes on its back, and two backward bending arms that ended with claws, each one bigger than me. The queen had a large, armored crown-like carapace on its head, into which it was able to withdraw its face and mouth as a means of protection. similar to how a turtle could withdraw its head into its shell. This great carapace was of a disproportionate size when compared to the rest of the queen's very large body, and it was black in color. This big thing had 3 smaller arms beneath its 2 primary arms, all of them clawed with 7 long fingers. The monster had a crown of thick tentacles and tendrils acting as legs, as well as a dozen tendrils tipped with a sharp and bony point, acting as a weapon. The queen also had a large, thick, and rigid tail that ended in 3 more points and looked deadly. This creature looked ancient yet deadly, with black, rigid skin, and at least 50 warrior drones surrounding her like royal guards. "Time for you to die," the queen roared. "No way," I screamed, just as the queen began to charge. Holding it out for her to see, I held the bomb with my lighter an inch away from the flare, which would ignite and blow the whole place up. "Move 1 step closer and we all go out and explode." "Smooth," Blaine muttered. The queen stopped, thawed, and stayed right where she was. "This mere attempt will not stop me from shedding your blood." In the tense silence without warning, a drone suddenly grabbed Blaine and pulled him back. I fired my pistol, killing it, which set off a chain of events. The drone queen suddenly charged, and the earth shaking and the bomb rolled away from me. "Blame!" I screamed. "The 50! Blaine got to his feet and grabbed the sniper, firing a shot at the queen's head. He fired, and reloaded until the entire 50 caliber magazine had run out. I picked up my shotgun and started slam firing into the wave of warrior drones heading our way, and I threw a Molotov cocktail in their direction. We both, back to back, emptied all of our magazines into the approaching threats, dropping multiple drones at a time, sending bullets everywhere. "No!" the queen yelled, and without warning, the queen suddenly rushed forward and grabbed me by the shirt collar, lifting me up. Before the queen did, I managed to snag the biggest bomb in my lighter, hugging him tightly to my chest. "Prepare to die." "Hey," I yelled, grinning, and then I yelled, "Get down," to Blame, and I looked back at the queen, who was raising me feet above her enormous, tooth-filled maw. This was it. After a whole week of being trapped inside this godforsaken school hunted by these drones, I was ending it. I grinned just before the queen dropped me into the water. "You better pick a god and start praying." In one swift motion, I quickly lit the flare attached to the bomb and dropped it down the queen's throat, and she released me screeching, and I fell into the underground lake below. I tried to swim to the bottom, but then I heard through the water a deafening boom, and the room shook, as every drone in the area was immediately destroyed, and parts of the queen's body flew everywhere. I swam to the surface and walked on shore where Blame was, taking cover behind a rock. He was unconscious, hit by a rock but barely bleeding and still breathing. I yelled out, "We won!" and I passed out right on the ground. I came to when I heard the voices of 2 men talking. I was expecting soldiers, FBI agents, the National Guard, anyone besides who I saw. It was who I could have never expected to see, especially in these circumstances that we were in. My Uncle Roger. He was with a man who was nearly 7 feet tall and looked like he punched trees and drove tanks for fun. The man was wearing a military plate carrier and combat boots, though he clearly wasn't a soldier. Roger was holding an M4 shotgun while the other man was holding an M16 in his hands. "Uncle Roger?" I exclaimed as Blame slowly got to his feet. How are you here?" "Dog, is this your uncle?" Blame asked. I briefly saw Lawrence, who had apparently survived the explosion. "Hey dude, holy crap, you okay?" Roger asked. "It looks like something crashed into here." "I guess," I said, clearly not being okay. "Who's your friend?" The man tipped his fedora at me. "Name's Zach." "What are you doing here? How did you know about this?" Well, I guess I hunt monsters now. Uncle Roger laughed, patting me on the back and leading us back out. I seriously took what he said into consideration. We went out into the parking lot where Roger and Zach had led Marlo into our class, who they had freed and questioned. The parking lot was full of worried parents and officers and ambulances. There were a bunch of men in suits asking questions, just like the cliches, who were friends of Zach. When I saw Marlo, I ran up to him and I hugged him. "Holy crap, kid, I heard the explosion from out here. What happened?" Well, Blame and I walked down there and killed everything and had an epic final battle with the Queen. I ended up putting the bomb you made down its throat and blowing it up. Marlo looked like he didn't believe me, but there was too much evidence. And after talking with my principal, who was now having a lengthy conversation with Zach, I reunited with the Algoma extermination team. "Holy crap!" Armin yelled once he saw me. "They're alive." We all had one big group hug and a bunch of handshakes, and we bid each other farewell. At least for now, until a 1-month deep cleaning and cave sealing could happen. I walked up to Blame. "We really did that, man." "Heck yeah." And Blame and I did our signature handshake. "So what are you gonna do now?" "I don't know, dog. I'm a monster hunter now, and with great power comes great big booty girls." My dad Michael then drove and parked into the driveway, and I had another well-needed reunion. My dad and Uncle Roger ended up having a lengthy conversation as to why Roger was sitting in a school parking lot with a shotgun. I got in my dad's car and I lied down in the back seat, and I heard Zach say, "Lawrence was just seen heading back to Oregon in a Mercedes. Let's roll. This might turn into a car chase if we don't make the plane back home." I wondered what that meant. Roger walked up to the car and said, "Hey bud, by the way, the monsters in the school are a colony species of semi-humanoid creatures originating from the eastern Pacific Ocean. They can get up to 16 feet long, and I killed one a few weeks back and dragged its body to my backyard. Catch you later, dude." I stared at him with my jaw dropped. A few weeks later, I was at my house waiting for the school to reopen, and I had received a call from my Uncle Roger. "Hey kid," he said, "I'm just wondering, how would you like to go on a Navy battleship for a few weeks, maybe a month? By the way, have you ever heard of something called Claw to Gothic Q?" Holy crap. This isn't the end.